Hey everyone, I'd just like to remind you that RTTV is sponsored by Expressvpn. You can protect your online privacy today at expressvpn.com/RTTV. That's expressvpn.com/RTTV. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rooster Teeth podcast. I'm Gus.
I'm Gavin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Adam. And Barbara. Madam Adam.
And I'm Gus.
Hi, Adam.
Welcome,
Adam.
Adam.
Gavin. Hey.
I realized I hadn't
guys.
even said hi. I was already just talking to you before this started, but I never said hello.
Oh, it's fine. I said hi.
Oh,
It's okay.
I'm
I was
always
farting around with
hesitant.
my camera.
I'm always hesitant whenever we have like someone who we don't typically get to talk to on the podcast. Like I don't want to talk too much before we start because we're about to do an hour and a half podcast together. I'm like, don't
an
update me
endless
on your
well. Don't worry. I'll spout out all sorts of useless facts. We can talk all day. It's fine.
Swimmer
worry.
facts.
Yeah,
Swim facts. Yeah.
Adam's someone new. We haven't talked to him repeatedly over the last 4 months, so we have an hour and a half to get on all the many things, all the different places you've gone, all the different things you've done. I'm sure all the varied life you've lived, the varied life activities you've lived through over the past 4 months.
Yeah. Lots of adventure. Lots of outdoor activities.
Mm-hmm.
just out there, bare chested, having a good time, living it up. Gus.
Did you go to Disney? Wait, Disneyland's not open, right? Is it just Disney World?
My wife works for Disney, so I'm inside Disneyland in a way sometimes.
Okay. Nice.
I get to hear I didn't realize how dirty that sounded. It's more of like I hear things that I probably shouldn't. But she's also been doing the voice work for the app where it's like, have a good time. And I'm like, there's just something weird about it that my wife is now the voice of Disney. Anyway.
But land is not open, right? Just World.
Disney World is, I believe, but yeah, Disneyland. It's coming. It's coming real soon, man.
You talked about like the voice of Disney. I don't know why. A couple weeks ago, I was rewatching Airplane, the classic 1970s comedy, and at the beginning of the movie when they're pulling up, they have the scene where the airport announcers are arguing, the man and the woman, about what zones are for parking and what zones aren't for parking. And I don't know why I was looking at the trivia for that movie, and apparently they got like the actual voices of that time for the LA airport to do the lines in the movie, which make it sound more like the actual airport. It's like, what a weird specific detail. It's like, we're going to find the people who are the actual voices at the airport and put them in the movie.
There's a surprising amount of tits in that movie.
It was the 70s,
And it's
man.
PG at the time too, which is fantastic. Yeah, that was like when your parents would just look at the box and go, "Yeah, you watch it, it's fine." And you're like, "Let's rewind that one part again."
That part made me feel weird.
The titty part?
It was like I was in Disneyland.
We have very different experiences. The Disneyland experience. I mean, to each their own.
I just want that to be what sex is called now.
Going
Just
to
being in
Disneyland.
Disneyland. Yeah.
Gonna take a spin
me
in the
to
teacups.
Disneyland, yeah.
Ride Splash Mountain.
Yeah. Finish me off at Club 33. That's like more of an insider thing.
Yeah, you can only make that joke.
I want to get Dole Whip all over your face.
You can only make that joke when you're. You can only make that joke when you're insider.
Yeah, when I am an insider.
There you go.
Her, yes. Wordplay is fun. The
Are you
English
gonna put your
language is a
dick
wonderful
insider?
thing. Wow,
What?
that was just very forward.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, I can announce that on the show.
You can confirm it.
Yeah.
I like anyone else, I'm sure we've all been desperate for content. Oh no! Before I get to that, I want to complain about something.
Oh, go for it.
I know some people were complaining to me that all we do on this podcast anymore is bitch about coronavirus and politics. Listen, I don't know if you noticed this, but normally what we do on this podcast is we talk about what's going on in our lives. We've been trapped in our houses for 4 months. All there is to talk about is fucking coronavirus and politics. I'll talk about some shit I watched here in just a minute, but 90% of what's going on is that. So,
Well,
I mean,
to be fair,
sorry that the world exists.
we make a lot of other content that doesn't touch on coronavirus and politics.
Well, those aren't podcasts about current events.
Yeah, but we can we can get away with talking about other shit. Video games is good. We don't have to talk about.
I think we will. I think, Gus, I'm probably reading the same comments you are. And at some extent, I do feel bad that we talk about it a lot and it's probably a downer for a lot of people. But yes, it is what's going on in our lives right now and what's going on in the world. But I think we could, as Gavin is saying, make an effort to talk about some other stuff.
I'll be honest. Well, I read a few of those comments and I did agree with a lot of them. I'll be honest. I agreed with because
for the first time in 4 months, the other day, I saw someone I knew in real life.
Where's Esther been?
It's been 4 months. I went to the grocery store on my weekly grocery run, and I ran into someone from work, and I did like a triple take, and I was like, is it really? Of course, we were like 10 feet apart from each other. I was like, is it really like trying to identify each other beneath your masks? It's like,
so
really
are you pretty good at identifying people you've met by the top half of their face?
Well, based on this one exchange, yeah, I think so. I'm 100%.
I wonder if we could do a video where we cut.
Where'd Barbara go?
Who are you?
I don't know this person.
I
could tell that. I could tell that's Barbara.
Yeah, I can tell.
Oh, it's Barbara.
I'm holding my fingers above Kovic's nose and mouth. Yeah, that's definitely Kovic.
Sure.
What if we did a game where we take celebrities and we Photoshop masks onto them, and we all have to guess and see if we can tell who it is behind the mask.
Like Guess Who Pandemic Edition.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
Just keep it broad. Say Pandemic Edition. Don't call it COVID Edition because people don't want to hear that.
Right. Oh yeah, no. You could sell that any time of the year in the future. Yeah.
Not to be confused with Kovic Edition, which is totally fine. Just
man, that hasn't got old ever.
COVID-19.
I went to a pharmacy to go pick up some medication for Jess, and when I told my last name, they gave me like a look because they just heard it. They're like, "Oh, what's the last name?" I said Kovic, and they kind of like, really? You're going to do that here? And I'm like, no, I have to spell it for them. And they go, oh, that's unfortunate. I'm like, yes.
Lucky you.
This is why, like Gus, I don't go out typically.
Yep.
But anyway.
I've been playing Last of Us 2, which I think is a very nice game. Not nice. Mm-hmm. It's a very good game. But I guess it like Last of Us games, they teach you stuff without explaining it. Like you end up just knowing not to try and climb anything that's covered in ivy, right? Like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there was this cutscene where there's like a picture. There was like some kid had drawn a picture on a wall, and in the cutscene she like moves the ivy away so she could see it. And I was like, it's bullshit. You can't move the ivy. It made me mad in the cutscene. It's a really graphic game. It's like so satisfying to pull off like really nice stealthy parts. And I always, because I'm a sicko, I always like check my work when I'm done. Like once I clear an area, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got 3 people with that pipe bomb. And I'll go and like try and find all 3 bodies and like look at the mess I made of some people's heads. It's gruesome. It's probably one of the most gruesome games I've played.
The worst is when like a clicker gets you and they like rip out that jugular and it's
like
what
is
so
that
long.
Thing?
And anytime that happens, I'm always like trying to mash a button to get it to skip because like I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it again. It's so disgusting.
The freeze on everyone's face as they're pulling this out, and you can't tell if it's Ellie going, "What the hell is that?" and how long has that been in my neck, or it's more of the "Thank you for pulling that out."
Although I feel like the most gruesome death in Last of Us was in the first Last of Us, where if you get grabbed by what are the big ones called? The bloaters?
The pussy?
Yeah.
He kind of like just like sticks his fingers in Joel's eyes and just like pulls his head apart, and it's like, ugh, God.
Yeah. I remember reading something about the game devs who worked on Mortal Kombat. They'd have to go to like rotten.com and they'd have PTSD of all the like horrific imagery they've seen because they need to do this for basically reference material to look at actual dead bodies. And they're like Mortal Kombat was just like so much on their psyche. I imagine it's very similar to the artists who work on Last of Us. You know, people write this story like it's very real, it's very grounded. Now go make it. Like, thanks. God. Now I have to go look at dead bodies for the next 6 months.
I wonder if that has a negative effect on someone over time.
It absolutely does, yes.
Desensitizes you and makes you like subhuman.
Well, there was the Facebook employees who had to watch the videos that got flagged.
Yeah.
And they were saying like within a month they couldn't sleep and they were immediately medicated and they basically had the same PTSD as like a soldier would. Sorry to bring the room down. The internet's a horrific place. I've been learning, with my time on this planet. I don't like it.
Have you guys beat that game yet?
Not yet. No.
I have not. No.
No, I didn't.
Should we?
That was on
I
my
just
mind.
wanted to see how long I could go with saying yes to that and not being questioned. I do really want to play it though. I never played the first Last of Us game, and I think I would like to do that before doing the second one.
I did that. As soon as Last of Us 2 came out, I quickly played all the way through Last of Us remastered on PS4.
For the first time, or had you played it before?
I got like halfway through before, but stopped. But yeah, I played it all. You definitely need to play the first one before.
I feel bad about it. I definitely would play the first one.
It's funny how at the beginning of the second game, they kind of try to quickly give you a recap of the first game in case you haven't played it. But in giving the recap, they really only talk about the last 30 minutes of the game. Like,
oh, really?
The very, like, it's almost like the beginning part of the game doesn't matter at all because it's not mentioned. It's like, so all you need to know is the very end of Last of Us 1, and then here you go, Last of Us 2. You can start playing the game.
So I feel bad about this because, as you know, obviously Troy Baker, good friend of Rooster Teeth and a good friend of mine, plays Joel in The Last of Us. And to support him, I was like, oh, I want to check out some of your work. And so I watched the opening scene of Last of Us 2. So I know a lot about what happened in the first game, just based off that.
You should still play it though.
I probably would.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
But I feel bad.
He's done so many things. It's fine. You should.
But it's like his game.
The first one, most definitely. I think he has some great standout moments. I think worth checking out, even just for the first 15 minutes of the first Last of Us.
Yeah,
it's worth it for that because it's like it just. The game kind of comes out swinging immediately, and you're like just sort of engrossed into this world. It's pretty good.
It shows you how good Troy is, though, because having met Troy several times, spoken to him, when I'm listening to Joel, I'd never think about Troy.
Yeah,
I don't even see him. I can't even picture Troy's face. I'm just thinking that Joel is like that person, and I think a lot of that is like the very natural mocap and the natural like he's good at acting, but. Yeah, it's amazing how you just buy into all those characters immediately in that game. Because I feel like a lot of companies aren't making really solid single-player only games anymore.
Oh, for sure.
Even though the first Last of Us had actually a really good multiplayer.
God, that
and
multiplayer
Gus, you
was
and I
so
have played
good.
that a lot.
Man, I love that multiplayer. It's so good.
Wait, how do you do multiplayer in Last of Us?
What made that one special? It was just basically like Uncharted,
just
right?
like it has them. It's like small teams, and it has the meatiness of the game, like. Very few bullets that you find, and you're crafting stuff on the go, and it's like super satisfying to pull off like a trap mine and stuff. It's if you want to like watch a let's play of it, it's actually really satisfying.
Since the teams are so small, you have to be really tactical. It's like 4v4. It's like, okay, the two of us are going to flank left, the two of you are going to flank right. We're going to try to trap them in between, or you guys stay here as a distraction. I'm going to come around, and you really have to think about it. And then if you kill enemies, then that's how you get components to craft other things. So it's like you're really incented to go out and be active in combat because then you get scrap to then build other things that can help you out in the game.
And it's got that tenseness to it. Like it takes quite a long time to like get materials, build a lot of stuff up, and you're like reinforcing your melee weapon. And it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, I feel like I'm ready to take on the other team. And then you get flanked, and it's just a desperate scramble, and you're just like mashing all the buttons, like, oh shit, it all just goes to shit. Yeah. Very much like the single player game. So I like that it fits
also,
so
yeah,
well.
The weapons you carry are very important. It's like, how are you going to play? Like, even amongst your team, like, who's going to be in charge of like close range combat? Who's going to be in charge of long range combat? And how are you going to be handling that? Yeah, you have to have really good balance. I think it's one of the games where you really have to have good communication within your team, and everyone has to be on the same page as far as what you're going to do and how you're going to approach it.
Man, stuff like that stresses me out, though. Any game, like, I'm terrible at first-person shooters, but any game where you have to have, like, multiple tools or equipment and, like, be ready to use the appropriate thing at the right time, I get analysis paralysis, where I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
I think there's a moment in one of our Let's Plays that Gus and I were in where we're like discussing what we're going to do, but we're like in the same place gathering materials. We're like, okay, got to go around there. I think I saw so. And then just a Molotov lands on all of us. We're just on fire screaming.
Yeah, the game will do that. But that first game, the story, the single player story of the first game ends so perfectly. I think that moment, I mean, there's no spoiler in it, but there's that moment where Ellie's just looking at the camera. She just says, okay, and like taking it, what was said at face value. And then like, it's just credits. Like it is perfect. It is like the exact best way to end that game.
When did it come out? What year did Last of Us come out?
2013? Yeah.
Wow, so it's been 7 years.
But it was remade for, it was like remastered for PS4 Pro. Just for PS4, not Pro. Was it Pro? Is there any Pro special options?
I think it might be 4K on Pro.
Let me
look.
Yeah, I think you can switch between like 60 FPS for HD or 30 for 2160.
Yeah, it is PS4 Pro enhanced.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how excited
PS3
people were for that coming out.
Yeah.
They're just like waiting for 7 years for that sequel.
There were a lot of opinions, Barbara. It turns out,
dude, that's something that I don't know if we should bring up because it'll be a pretty big downer. But like some of the cast of that game, and I'm sure this happens with every game, we just don't hear about it or see it. But I know the character that Laura Bailey played was getting death threats and getting, her family was getting threatened and stuff like that because of things that happened in the game.
Which is completely unacceptable.
Which I don't know how anybody could understand or not understand that a actor is not a animated character and it's a video game. Like, I understand people are invested and feel really passionate about it.
Also, even so, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be giving death threats or threatening real people over anything, really.
I've received, I don't really want to talk about it because it's a big downer, but I receive all types of violent threats, death threats because of Yang and Ruby, and like people saying like, oh, if Yang and Blake get together, like I'm gonna do something bad. And it's just like, first of all, there are two characters in an animated series. Secondly, I'm a voice actress. I literally just read what is on a sheet of paper in front of me and then I'm done. Like, it's not, I didn't write it. There's no type of...
It's just disgusting, terrifying behavior. And honestly, like the fact that they're equating the character to her, that just means she did an excellent job with the character to make it believable. But what a way to be rewarded for that. Jesus Christ, it's terrible.
Yeah. I always think of the Simpsons episodes where they're at a convention and people are like yelling at the voice of like Itchy and Scratchy of like, I don't understand. They hit the bone and made a xylophone sound. And they hit the bone and made two different sounds. And they're like, really? This is what you do with your time? Or like, I think they're like yelling at Xena, Lucy Lawless, because they're like, what happened? She's like, Wizard did it. I'm like, I'm just an actor. Just leave me alone. But they did kind of like a tongue in cheek version of it. But now the reality of it is people are so precious about a make believe story that they're willing to, call out the actor who like Barbara, you're saying is like they had no input on the story or where it was going. So leave them alone. Their job is to perform. They are actors. They wear a different skin. That's what they're doing. And then they go home to their kids and stuff. So just leave them alone.
Yeah. And if something upsets you that much to a point of threatening someone's life over it, you really need to rethink what you're doing and what's important to you and reality. It's just mind-boggling to me how people could get that intense over something that is a work of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there. I was a shitty teenager. I remember sending a really mean email to a guy who ran a Family Guy website that he had pirated episodes of Family Guy, and it was like the only place to watch it. And none of the links were working. And I basically sent like a scathing email to him, and he replies like, "Dude, chill out." And I was like, "Yeah, I probably should."
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like I've been there. So like anytime I think of that stuff, it's like what was I going through at the time? Was I angry, at my dad or something, or I was angry at something. I was taking it out on someone else. But it's like at the same time, social media is just it makes everyone so much more available.
I saw that. I think it was. I want to say it was Animated JB on Twitter was posting some of the voicemails that the Halo team got when, I guess for some people, the Crackdown multiplayer beta wasn't working for some people. And he like got everyone's extensions and called every single person that he could find at Bungie just to scream at them down the phone. And it's
my God.
The time it must have taken to do that. Oh my God.
That is the reason why at the old office down south off of Ralph Ablanedo, our phone extension seemingly didn't make sense. Like you wouldn't just call and randomly guess what our extensions were, because I had heard some of those tapes before and I knew that people would call and conceivably just start trying to guess extensions to reach people back when I handled that kind of thing. This episode of the Rooster Teeth podcast is brought to you by Expressvpn. We know I'd look up tons of weird stuff on the podcast. Sometimes I don't necessarily want it coming back to me. I know what you're already thinking. Gus, why not just use incognito mode? Well, incognito mode doesn't actually hide your activity. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your browsing history. Your internet service provider can still see every single website you've ever visited, and that's why I use Expressvpn. Doesn't matter if you get your internet from Verizon, Comcast, ISPs in the US can legally sell you information to ad companies. Expressvpn is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so your ISP cannot see the sites you visit. Expressvpn also keeps all your information secure by encrypting 100% of your data with the most powerful encryption available. Most of the time, I don't even realize I have ExpressVPN on. It runs so seamlessly in the background, so easy to use. All I have to do is tap one button and you're protected. ExpressVPN is available on all your devices, phones, computers, even smart TVs. There's no excuse for not using it. Protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by CNET and Wired. Visit our exclusive link at expressvpn.com/rooster. You get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/rooster. expressvpn.com/rooster to learn more. So I did want to talk, going back to things that I wanted to talk about that aren't so downer. Anyway, don't threaten people. Moral of the story. They're just actors. Chill out.
It's entertainment.
Be good.
No matter how broken their Family Guy fan website is, don't yell at them. Don't be like me. Be better.
I think, Barbara, you watched something over the weekend that I did as well. You watched Palm Springs on Hulu?
I did, yes. Me and Trevor watched it this past weekend. We were just randomly looking for something to watch, and that popped up. And we began watching the trailer, because usually like that'll make us determine whether we want to watch the thing or not. And after like a minute or so, we're like, we don't want to see the rest of this trailer. We just want to watch the movie. It looked good. And it was really cute and really fun. I loved it.
Yeah, it was not what I was expecting at all. Like I saw the teaser images, and then I started watching the trailer. I was like, oh, yeah, I think I know where this is going. And then the trailer immediately makes like a hard right turn. Like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Same thing. It's like, I'm going to stop the trailer and I'm going to watch it right now, because it's only like a 90-minute movie. It's pretty short. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's totally worth it. Like I said, it's short. It's funny. It's something a little different. If you want to kill a little bit of time in the dreariness of the world.
Although it is, I won't spoil anything, but there are some themes in that movie that are very on point for 2020. you know what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah, it deals with some existential crisis and some bigger issues. But yeah, it's I don't. Should we even give like the premise of the movie? They kind of give it away in the trailer, right?
They give it away in the trailer. It also, like, pretty quickly into the movie, you figure out what the premise is.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day with multiple people.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I love Groundhog Day. I love, like, thinking about the sci-fi aspect of how many loops that he had. It's
that's one of the things that they talk about in this. Like, one of the characters has been in there so long, and they're asking, like, what about this? Or do you remember ever doing? He's like, I don't know. My memory's kind of shot at this point. He's like, I have no idea how long I've been doing this.
I watched a video someone did about Groundhog Day where they basically, like, looked at everything that he knew and how many day-night cycles were in the movie. And they, like, I guess estimated how long he actually spent. And it was, like, decades that he spent in that one day, based on, like, how long it would have taken to learn the certain skills like musical instruments and all that stuff. It's really crazy to think about.
Wasn't it something like 2,000 years or something crazy like that?
I don't remember it being in the thousands, but I think it was like, oh, maybe you're right. I thought it was like several decades.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think about that too, and like how bad I am at learning things, like learning the piano. I'd be like, give me 50,000 years, I could maybe do half of what he did.
I typed into Google, how long did Groundhog Day last? And it told me 1 hour and 41 minutes.
It was just a bad dream someone had.
So the estimate is between 30 and 40 years, it looks like.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that was it? 30 and 40 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Approximately 34 years.
You ever have like a parent or adult tell you something and they're like, yeah, Groundhog Day takes place over 50,000 years, and then you believe it for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I think that's what that was.
There's a lot of stuff you learn as kids like that, where you just believe it for the rest of your life.
It must be crazy for him to have finally gotten out of Groundhog Day into the day after, and then tried to remember what he'd done on the first day to try and, like, I guess, be that person. Or I guess the whole moral of the story is that he's a better person now, right? But I feel like I wouldn't be able to get my head straight around what I should be doing.
Yeah, it's like if I talk to you tomorrow and all of a sudden you had mentally aged 30 years. You still look the same to me. But it's like, you've been through all this shit. It's like, I have no idea. It's like, it's just...
Yeah, I don't know what I'm like. I don't know what...
If you had to live the same day over and over again, out of all the days that you've lived thus far, do you think there would be one that you would pick? Like, is there one that stands out to you as something you would pick?
It sounds terrible.
To
relive once or relive perpetually?
Perpetually.
Oh.
No.
No, they're all there's all shades of good or bad or missed opportunity that you can only go so far in a day. I'd have to be like in the center of the United States or something, or somewhere where I have opportunity
to
go.
So you just go anywhere.
Well, that was the problem with the Groundhog Day, right? He was stuck in the town. There's a blizzard.
Yeah.
And so he can't leave. And so he can only hang out in, what's it called? Pontoony or Puxatawny, yeah. So he's screwed there. I'm trying to think of all the places where I'm landlocked or I can't get away.
Yeah, there's a line. They say it in the trailer, but there's a line in Palm Springs where one of the characters says, "Yeah, one time I smoked a bunch of crystal and I made it all the way to Equatorial Guinea."
I will check it out. I promise.
There's some very interesting plot points to that movie that make the premise really fun and interesting and very unique in comparison to movies that are similar, like Groundhog Day, where you're kind of stuck in the same place.
Yeah, when I started watching it, that lead actress, I couldn't place her at first. I was like, God, where have I seen her before? So I had to pause it and look her up on IMDb. And she was the main character in that Black Mirror episode of the USS Callister. I guess like the new employee who gets stuck in the the spaceship simulation.
Mm-hmm.
I recognized her as the spoiler mother in How I Met Your Mother.
There's a mother in that? How dare you? Now,
sorry.
I was on season 52 or whatever.
Well, I think the real spoiler is that she dies.
Well, that was the problem, right? It was, they do a 180 on you because in the very first episode he meets Robin or whatever. And he goes, and that's how I met your Aunt Robin. And they're like, what? And anyway, I never finished the show. Sorry, spoiler. Yeah. I didn't finish it.
They should make they do a lot of like future projections. Sorry for that spoiler, by the way.
That show's been out for like, what, 15 years?
They do a lot of scenes where they're like all aged up. I think they should recreate those at appropriate ages and just cut it back into the show. There was a ton of like controversy with the ending of that, right? Like they made two endings because people were so...
Yeah, I wrote them so many death threats because I was so upset.
Yeah, I filled up their voicemail. It was worth it.
I feel like if you'd watched that show from the beginning, week to week, maybe you'd be annoyed at the ending. But as someone who just binged the whole thing, I think it was a fine ending.
I wasn't that annoyed, and maybe it's because I binged it too, and I wasn't that annoyed. I think it's because the whole show is leading up to who the hell is their mother, and you get essentially like turned away from Robin right away as like, oh, that's your Aunt Robin, so completely discount her as someone who you could potentially have a romantic involvement with, and then they really throw you for a loop there at the end.
One day I want to sit my kids down and be like, here's all the women I banged before I got to your dead mother. For the next 82 hours, we're going to talk about...
Here's all the women I went to Disneyland with before.
Yeah, sorry.
Nice callback.
I'll clean it up for them. Yeah. Got to make it network friendly.
There was another thing that I watched over the weekend. There's a new documentary that came out on Netflix. Do you all know who Walter Mercado is? Does that sound familiar to anybody?
No.
He was like, I don't know, it's like kind of like a fortune teller, or he would like read astrology signs. He was really famous on like Spanish language television, and he became kind of popular in the United States as well, like in the mid to late 90s. And there was a Netflix documentary about him, and it was really interesting. It's like talks about this super positive message he had. You might recognize him if you saw a photo. He would always wear like these really extravagant cloaks and capes, and kind of had this androgynous look to him, where you weren't sure maybe if it was a man or a woman. And it was a really interesting documentary to watch. But someone in there in the documentary makes a comment about how far ahead of his time he was, because like I said, he gained popularity in the 70s, 80s, and had some crossover in the United States in the 90s, and like how ahead of his time he was, because it's like he was a non-binary asexual astrologer. Like, it seems like this would be the most popular person on social media today, but he was doing this back, on television decades ago.
Wow, yeah.
And it was it's a super interesting look into his life and how he ended up doing these things, and it's like overall it's a very positive story with a very like positive message, and I think it's good for these times when everyone's so pissed off about everything to watch something like that. Trust me, if you know anybody who's Hispanic, they probably know someone. They probably have someone in their family who was obsessed with watching Walter Mercado when they were younger. Wasn't so big in my house. I think some of my relatives, but not in my house particularly.
I need something to wash the Epstein taste out of my mouth whenever we finish that documentary, because every time we watch that, I'm just like, we should take a shower, and like we just took one, yeah, but
I was going to ask if any of you have seen it.
Halfway through, it's hard to watch. It's just at some point it just starts piling up, and then you're just angry, and then you're sad, and you're sad again, and then you're angry again. Oh, look at him! Oh, that's a magic man.
Wow.
Oh, you looking?
Yeah. I showed them some photos.
It's tough because documentaries like that I really want to see just because I feel like it's an important watch. But I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's hard to be in the right mood for stuff like that. And whenever you do sit down to watch something, it's like, do I want to get into this right now? It feels like a big undertaking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's just you mean just the reality of a documentary?
It's just like stuff like the Epstein documentary, which is going to be, you're going to feel not good watching it, right? Yeah. Like it's going to probably ruin your day in some capacity, or just like a movie that is sad or something like that. Like I still haven't watched Precious. I really want to see that movie, but I have never been in the right headspace to watch it because I know it's going to be really difficult to watch.
Yeah. I mean, you have those days where you're like, Requiem for a Dream sounds good.
I rewatched Grave of the Fireflies yesterday, so I mean, it's that's definitely a bummer. But like,
I know the name. I still haven't watched it. I haven't seen anything about it. Just everyone just always says, "Don't watch this movie if you want to feel good about yourself."
It's about people struggling to survive in Japan at the close of World War II.
Wow. It's not an anime though, right?
Yeah, it's
or
anime.
Is there like an?
It's anime, but it's based on a semi-autobiographical story.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like as far as the Epstein thing, like I watched it, and you're right, it's a hard watch, but it's one of those things where this is something that happened, right? Like these are things that people suffered with. Like me not watching it or me being ignorant of it doesn't stop it from it still happened regardless. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to know what happened. What was the big deal about it? And you watch it, like this guy was a fucking monster. Like I can't believe the stuff that went on there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think also because it's back in the news again. I think too is what sort of sparked my interest in it, which is like, because I thought this was they caught this monster and then he died in jail. It's however it happened or whatever. Then you're just like you feel like you were robbed of a catharsis.
Yeah.
In some way, and then they're like, well, no, now they got his partner, so there's something there. So I think that renewed my interest in the whole thing. And I'm just like, I just want to know how the story ends, and also get me off this goddamn roller coaster because it's too scary.
I think it's because I've been obviously like going through what we're going through right now in the world, and just like me personally trying to deal with it. I never am in the mood for content that's going to bring me down even more. I just want to watch like romantic comedies and old Disney movies and like comedy series. I was
wondering that. I was like, do you think a bunch of lighthearted comedies are super up on Netflix now? And
I bet
stuff like Schindler's List is going unwatched.
Well, let me give you yet another recommendation, because there is something else that I watched on Hulu that's a lot more like bite-sized content. Have any of you ever watched this series called Day of Gluttony?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's these two guys who go around to different cities in the U.S. and they spend a day in a city, and in that day that they're out and about, they have to go to 24 different restaurants. Like they have basically like 24 different meals in one day. So it's like there's 24 hours in the day. It's like 20 years, like they're just gonna go. They have an episode in Austin where they just like come through and there's like, we're gonna go to a bunch of restaurants and bars and all kinds of places. And since it's only a 30-minute show, so it's only like, actually it's cut for TV, so it's only like 22 minutes. So they go to 24 places in 22 minutes. So it's super like short attention span editing, where it's like they're in a place for a minute and then it's like next place, next place, next place, and it's just like
I feel like I wouldn't like that.
It's really it's really entertaining. He's like, oh, that looks really good.
It's not like too sporadic.
No. I think it's actually done well. And then by the time you know, it's like, oh, like that episode's done. I'm gonna watch the next one, and then just like go through and watch all of them.
What are they like after hour 22?
They go through ups and downs, and sometimes you just see them and they're just like defeated, and other times it's like they try to incorporate things into their day that help with digestion and help them pack more food in. And that's one of the rules, is they cannot leave any food uneaten. So it's like before they can leave the restaurant, all the food has to be eaten. Like they have to have cleaned all their plates, and it's like, okay, now we're going on to the next place.
Oh, they do 24 restaurants. Oh my god, dude.
Are they there ordering like a slice of pizza instead of a whole thing?
No, they eat a lot. They eat like every place they go, it's like they each have a meal. So like I wouldn't be able to go to more than 2. I'd be like, all right, that's it. That's my food for the day. I ate 2 meals.
They're like normal sized guys. Yeah. They're not like, where do they put it? You know?
I just can't. I just get so full. I once for my birthday, Meg surprised me for like a steak dinner, but I didn't know we were doing it, so I'd just eaten like a roast beef sandwich or something that I made. And I remember being like so upset. I was like, oh, I ate a sandwich, and I just wasn't hungry at the meal. And it was like, I really couldn't. I was like struggling to finish the meal.
They come over and you're like, sir, is there something wrong with your steak? And you're just like, no, I ate a sandwich.
I had a sandwich.
That's the worst. I hate that.
This episode of Receipt Podcast is brought to you by Mint Mobile. I think Mint Mobile's coverage is its standout feature. They have a coverage checker that you can see what kind of coverage you have in your area. We're in Austin. I just went to the coverage checker. I can clearly see the 4G LTE service in my area. Just like me, you know what you're paying for. You're not getting overcharged. Mint Mobile's approach gives you the options you deserve, all while saving money. If you're still using one of the big wireless providers this year, have you asked yourself what you're paying for? Between expensive inflated prices, hidden fees, predatory tactics, you're being taken advantage of because they know that you'll pay. Enter Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost because everything is done online. Mint Mobile saves on retail locations and overhead and passes those savings directly onto you. Mint Mobile makes it easy to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text, and with Mint Mobile, stop paying for unlimited data you're never going to use. You choose between plans with 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of 4G LTE data. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. Keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. It's super easy. Just pop in a new SIM. You ditch your old wireless bill, start saving with Mint Mobile. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/rooster. That's mintmobile.com/rooster. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/rooster. A few years ago, I was traveling and I was in Chicago, and there was a restaurant I really wanted to go to. I had made reservations well in advance, and I was super looking forward to it. And that morning, like I was supposed to go there for lunch, and then that morning I woke up and I was like, I just wasn't feeling well. Like I wasn't like sick or anything. It's like I just felt like I couldn't eat. My stomach was upset. So like I still had my reservation, so I still went and I still ordered this food. I was like, I took like 2 bites of it. I was like, this is delicious, but I can't eat it. And it's like so sad. It's like I've been waiting for so long to go to this restaurant. And I was like, I just can't eat the food. I'm sorry. And then like you said, the waiter comes by. It's like, is there something wrong? Can I get you something else? Like, no, it's me. Food's excellent.
I'm the problem.
Yeah.
I've done the thing where. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was just saying the last time we did something like that was we went to Vegas for, I think, Thanksgiving, and we accidentally got there at brunch when they did the changeover. And so we already like ate our body weight in food. And then they're like, started bringing out new food. And we're like, oh, let's just go again. Like, it's just like, we're just so full, but we're like, but it's new food. It's different now. Like there's no whipped cream on the waffles. They should try it.
You don't want it to go to waste.
I mean, God, if I feel bad about those sorts of things where I know there's other parts of the world that are just in utter like starvation. And I'm just sitting here going like, I need to put in more. I just like, don't be a baby, eat it all.
That happened. That happened to Trevor and I, bringing up Disneyland again. We were in Disneyland together in February, I guess, right before all this coronavirus stuff really started happening. And we happened to be walking by Club 33, and they were taking like open seating for the restaurant that's on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. I forget what that place is called, the Bayou or something
Blue
like
Bayou.
that.
I don't
Blue
know.
Bayou?
I don't know these things.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely, you do. And we had just eaten like 20 minutes before that. And we're like, well, we can't not take this opportunity to go sit at this restaurant that usually is like booked up like crazy. For those of you who don't know, Club 33 at Disneyland is like, first of all, I don't know what the membership is, like $50,000 a year or something like that, Adam?
Ridiculous.
What the shit?
I don't know. I thought they only let like celebrities and like high ranking like Disney people in there. I didn't know anything about that.
So where's
I mean,
your
I just
table? Is it, like,
broke
by the
in,
window?
you know, like a normal human.
No, we
corporate members pay an initiation fee of $40,000. Individual members pay $25,000 in addition to annual dues, which are about $12,000.
Isn't that crazy?
What? Dear God.
It's like a car.
Yeah,
You don't get to drive anything.
insane. Like, I think there's more to it, obviously, than just the restaurant. As far as I know, there's like an actual club that you go into, but they also have the restaurant that seats
that's madness.
right on like if you ever have ridden the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, you'll notice at one point you get to a place where there's tables and chairs and stuff like that. Like, it looks like a restaurant. It's a functioning restaurant. So we actually would see people going by in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, which is like all covered and it looks like nighttime. It's really cool. But we wanted to experience it, but we had just eaten, so we just ordered like some pasta dish to share, and we barely touched it because we were both so full already and felt so bad. Because it's like, oh, here, you get access to this exclusive club and this exclusive restaurant that usually has no seating, and you're not gonna fucking eat your food. Great, thanks, guys. Just felt not good.
Yeah.
I feel less bad about wasting. Well, having worked in a supermarket and like seen like behind the scenes of hotels and stuff, when you see how much food is wasted at places like that, it makes me feel less bad about, I didn't finish this plate of food. Because there's so much waste in the world that is completely pointless.
Yeah,
but
like
the number on the date is passed. It's like, can't sell it.
Yeah. But this is like, the way I feel about it is like, this is a bit of waste that you have control over. Like, the other stuff, obviously, you have no control over that. But it's like, this, if I waste it, like, I fucked up. Like, I need to figure this out.
I used to be more like, I'm so full, but I'm going to get down these last 4 bites, and then I'd feel miserable. I just don't do that. But yeah, it still sucks to waste shit.
That's ingrained in me though. Like growing up, I grew up with 3 other kids, and it was, you eat what's on your plate, because if you don't, it's going to be gone and you're going to be hungry. So yeah, I'm just that way, where like I just clean my plate no matter what. And like James and Elise always make fun of me for it, but like people will like, we used to have at the office, whenever Full Screen would do these like catered lunches for whatever they were shooting in our building, and they would just leave, like they would just throw food away and it'd still be wrapped up, and I would take it out of the trash. As Matt Peak and I would do this, but he'd be like, Adam's digging through the trash can. I'm like, that is a waste of food. At least take it to a food bank or something. Yep. Actually, Fareed was always really good about that. He would start taking food over to the food banks and stuff like that. But like, it's like, I'm not actually digging through the trash, but yes, I can see how this looks bad.
There was an episode of Seinfeld where George Costanza takes the eclair off the top of the trash.
Yes.
It's like, that's the exact same thing that's going on. It's like, it's not in the trash, it's on top. It's fine.
Dude, I would do that. I would absolutely do that.
I was the kid walking through restaurants and there would still be like food on people's plates, and I was so tempted just to take it. I'm like, that asparagus isn't even touched. Why would you waste that? Like, why order the food if you're not going to eat it, or at least get it to go? It looked good. It looked like good asparagus. It's the first thing
you're going to say like a French fry or like
there's plenty of French fries. Oh man. All those things. Those things are like treats as a kid. You kidding me? People just leave half of their ice cream there. Come on. There's a full ball. You could just eat that. Anyway.
You said French fries. It made me think about something. This might be something geared more towards Gavin. I think Gavin's more interested in this, but I rewatched Parasite yet again this past weekend. And
is that like 45th viewing?
Yeah,
it's
what
like
is that
my
now?
millionth viewing. I don't know. But I noticed something I'd never noticed before. I read through all the credits and I realized that they credited the dogs, and the dogs' real names are different than their like character names in the movie. And one of them, the dog's real name means potato. And I thought like that was like the funniest name for a dog. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Like that dog's real name is Potato. I think it was the dog.
Is it literally potato, or is it a Korean word? Like the South Korean word for okay.
Exactly.
How do you say potato in Korean?
Kamja.
What is it?
Kamja. It's the dog that was Zuni, I think, in Parasite. His name is Potato.
I learned how to say bums because we were watching Korean baseball since like right now it's around baseball season, and Jess and I enjoy watching the Dodgers, and there's no sports. So, and Jess always likes to call the other team bums when they're doing bad. So we learned it's like baranza, and so we yell it at each other every once in a while. If someone, if someone's messing up, you bum, you baranza. So learning Korean little by little every day. Just that one word.
Just like
word by word.
things that are relevant to watching baseball.
Which also, by the way, Korean baseball is nuts because they're all named after the sponsors. So it's like the Samsung Dragons or the Kyocera Tigers or something like that. Like it's not the town they're from. It's the name of the sponsor first. So it's always like Samsung versus Toshiba. It looks so weird on the lower third.
Do you have like brand loyalty instead of like city pride? It's like your brand pride.
Yeah,
that's like the giant corporation level of cockfighting. Like you're just paying other people to.
It's very cyberpunk, which I'm into, but then also it makes me a little sad. I'm like, go Samsung. What am I saying?
I went to the Samsung factory where they have like a museum of all their stuff. This was in Seoul.
Oh wow, that's
South
really
Korea,
cool.
and they were like showing they were showing me specific stuff in the testing phase where they're like dropping phones and like baking them and stuff. And they had an area where they had phantom cameras and they were like seeing slow-mo stuff. So that's what they were showing it to me. But they also had like a fake arse, like wearing jeans, where they would put the phone in the pocket and and like on a pneumatic pole would like sit this arse down over and over again on the phone.
What the hell?
And they would do like 100,000 cycles just to see if it would bend over time. And I was like, that is the the funniest visual.
I kind of love that.
I know.
It
what
was
do you
great.
think that guy's job title is?
Ass man.
Nice.
I'm an ass man.
I just like that. It's like, what did you do? How was work today, honey? Making all the asses. And he's like, someone has to do
another
it.
ass on a pole. Yeah,
what did you sit down on today? A couch?
Do you think they custom made it, or is it like something they had to buy from like a sex shop?
I don't know. It was wearing jeans. But yeah, I mean, you could put jeans on anything, right? Anything off the shelf.
If that's not the title of this podcast, I don't know what is. You could put jeans on anything. I'll put jeans on your cat.
Yeah. Oh, I would hate that. I'm just not a fan of dressing up animals and humanizing them. I don't think they like it. Though I did see. No. I saw a GIF of a cat in a raincoat today that Jess showed me, and that he seemed to be happy, or they. But yeah, but his tail was still getting wet, so I don't know if that was really helpful.
So what's the point?
I guess sometimes I'm almost. It's for the humans. It's not for the animal.
How do you guys?
That's why you dress them up. It's
that word that of the thing that you open that covers you in the rain. What would you say for that? How would you pronounce that?
Now you got me thinking about it because I'm going to say umbrella. God damn it. It's umbrella, but if I think about saying the word, I say umbrella because of the hit song.
What are we talking about? Umbrella?
Yeah. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, umbrella.
Umbrella.
So
Adam, you're saying you put the umbrella. You like
if I think about it for more than half a second, I go, oh yeah, the umbrella, because I'm thinking of the song. And it takes more effort to say it that way. If you're just saying, oh, an umbrella, okay, yeah, you move on with your life. But yeah, now Barbara's in my head.
Why do you ask, Barbara?
Well, I say umbrella like a normal human being,
the correct
and I don't
way,
know if this is like a location, it's like specific kind of accent. But every now and then, Trevor will say umbrella.
Trevor's a freak. Trevor is a lunatic.
Umbrella?
Umbrella. But he always like corrects himself because he'll say it just quickly when we're talking about something, and I'll be like, "What did you say?" And he'll be like,
he adds a schwa.
Umbrella. But it always comes out a little bit umbrella.
Similar,
really
the
cute.
loved one in my life, James, always says compass or something like that. He says,
compass.
He never says compass. Yeah, he says compass.
But is he doing that because he's funny?
No, I think he just says it that way. I'm not sure. I've just become used to it, and I'm like, that's fine. Other people will be like, "What did you say? What? What word was that?" I'm like, just move on.
How often are y'all talking about compasses that this becomes a thing?
Well, like most video games have a compass. He's always like, use the compass, but it's always compass. Sounds like a compass. Yeah, it's it's what the ass man uses to get around Samsung. Sorry. Throwback. That's a throwback to earlier.
Is there any words that you guys say weird that people give you shit for? Gavin, wouldn't include you in this.
Yeah, everything I say. Usually, I feel like at the moment it's whenever I use like a T in a word, but it comes out like a ch, like YouTube is. I would say that. And
would you say
Americans
Tuesday?
Yeah, but there are words in the English language where Americans also do that. They just forget that they do that. Like an American saying situation would also do it there. They wouldn't go situation. So
Situation.
You chirp the T. And it's exactly what we do in YouTube.
YouTube.
Right. God damn
it. It's kind of like prescription, which I just eat that word.
What happened there?
I don't know. I become like a Scotchman, just like oh yeah,
Connery's prescription.
Yeah,
prescription.
I'm here to pick a prescription. Give it to me, Wash.
I have lots of words like that. Like a little while ago, I said eclair, and chat was running wild with that.
I thought you were kidding when you said it like that.
Eclair. I say some words wrong. I did an episode of Black Box Down where we had to talk about tubes quite a bit, and apparently I say tubes. And I got so many comments from people who say like, "Why do you say tubes instead of tubes?" And now when I say, I have to be like tube, like I have to think about it. So
you mean tube?
Tube. I don't know.
Tube.
I worked with a guy. I worked with a guy who called it a foxhawk.
Foxhawk?
Because a faux hawk.
Oh,
I was like, what is the word he's trying to say there?
Because he read the word faux and thought it was spelled like fox.
Fox.
So it was like, yeah, I went and got a foxhawk this week, and I was like, you're not from Boston. You're like, and then he's like, no, foxhawk, and I'm like, faux hawk, and he's like, oh, how did I? What? That's how you say it. And then he went about his day and did whatever else with his life.
Do you
I
think
thought
if you made
was dash hound?
Oh yeah, a lot of people say that.
There's that joke in that one episode of The Simpsons where Marge yells to Bart, "Run like the wind," and he says, "It's wind, Mom." And she's like, "I don't know. I've only ever read it." Same kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like that's the epitome of good jokes.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of Black Box Down, I saw people had been asking when that's coming back. I think we're coming back next week, if I remember right, on the 23rd. So next Thursday, we should have a new episode out. We've got we've been working hard doing research and recording new episodes.
Gus, are you excited about that new supersonic jet?
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. You read my mind, Gavin. People have been sending me this article over and over. I guess this company, and Gavin, you and I have had like side conversations about this. This company called Boom is building like a next generation supersonic passenger jet, and they're going to begin doing their test flights, I think in October, like later this year, early next year.
Bad name for a company that makes planes, in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't want to have your company called Boom. But I think people keep sending it like, look, you're going to be able to fly on this plane. Well, first of all, I mean, this is just a test. Second of all, if you read the article, it's like it's a 1/3 size prototype. And like third of all, best case scenario, they said that if all goes well, they'll be able to start commercial flights in the year 2030. It's like we have a long way to go. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of companies go under. Like it's a really ambitious product. It's great to doing a test flight. I'm more power to them. That's incredible. But we're not going to be getting on that plane anytime soon.
I have a question.
Yep.
I have a question about how do you make a 1/3 scale plane and fly it? Is it like an RC plane, or is like the pilot lying down with his legs like sticking into row 1 and 2? Like how does that work?
You just get a 1/3 size human to fly it.
Yeah,
it's really quite simple. I mean,
what would that do to the cockpit?
Tires are they're just shrinking it, I guess, a little bit. Like
I'm just imagining a pilot like with his knees like this.
It's like a little RC car. Is like It's like, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, fuck. Hits his head constantly.
There's a video that I want to show you. This reminds me of a video I saw on Reddit of this guy coming out of a gas station and getting in a tiny car that looks like one of those electric cars for kids and just like getting in it, reversing and driving off. And it was the funniest thing because it's like a full-grown adult man just getting in and leaving.
It's
Maybe
like
he didn't need any extra space.
Maybe.
It's also
Or
like
maybe
that
he lives
episode
close by.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons when Nelson laughs at the really tall guy in the really small car. Then he gets out with his long legs and very quickly catches up to Nelson.
Do you find something funny about the size of my automobile? Sorry, I wouldn't quote Simpsons all day.
Am I to be made the subject of fun? Which is like the best sentence, the best constructed sentence ever.
Well, he goes, hey, everyone, it's that boy who laughs at everybody. Let's laugh at him. That's a great episode.
Okay, someone in the chat said a 1/3 sized plane is still big enough for a human. Well, sure, but what are you testing at that point? Because the human still is full size and he weighs more than a pilot.
They're probably testing the materials that the plane is made out of.
Sure.
I
don't think you could fit in a cockpit if it's 1/3 the size. I don't think that is big enough for a human.
I don't know.
Unless the plane's going to be really big. Think about that.
That's a good point.
Supersonic prototype. Let's find out.
I'm glad these are the problems we're solving. We're like,
yeah.
I can't get to Japan fast enough. I'm so rich. I need to fly somewhere fast. I got to be there now.
Is it weird to you guys that you haven't flown in so long as people who are used to traveling all the time?
I miss it. I miss traveling.
I didn't think I would miss it as much as I do.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I miss the ability to do it. Just only because talking about like, Jess and I are talking about doing like a road trip now for like our anniversary is coming up, and we're like, where do we go? I don't know, New Mexico maybe. So I don't know. It's just making me think differently, I guess.
You should do what me and Trevor are doing. We're renting an Airbnb, in Texas, so it's just a short little drive that has a pool on it, and we're just renting it for the weekend. And the great thing about this Airbnb is they have a policy. I don't know if it's like all of Airbnb across the board or just this particular location has a policy where it can't be rented 72 hours on either side of any rental. Oh. So it'll be like cleaned and properly handled and stuff like that. And there's going to be no people inside the building like 72 hours before your stay, which is great.
Jess and I will rent an Airbnb right next door to you, and we'll be louder to ruin your vacation.
Honestly, I would love that because it'll be like hanging out with friends. But it's just kind of like a way for us to still be safe, still get out of the house. And also, I have been dying to go swimming ever since summer started because that's like, Gavin, my favorite part about living in Austin and the summertime is swimmies. And I haven't been able to swimmy at all.
How much do you think it costs to rent the Love Island villa?
Oh, God.
Wait, that's Epstein's Island?
Oh, nice. That's a fucking callback right there.
Is that not what it was called? What's Love Island?
Love Island is a television show, a reality show.
Well, because he called his plane like the Lolita Express, so I wouldn't put it past him to be like, "Welcome to Love Island."
And that guy ended up
being
a pedo? Are you serious? Weird.
I'm sorry. Yeah. People who own islands are weird. I'm going to throw that one out there.
It's true.
What do you?
Well,
there
goes my plans.
Did you want to own an island? That just seems
odd. Maybe I do.
I feel like billionaires do a bunch of shit that I wouldn't want to do. Like, do you want to live on a tiny island? That seems really annoying. Where's all the convenience?
Or own a boat that has a smaller boat inside that boat?
Yeah, like a boat with defenses on where it deploys tiny boats to protect the big boat. Why live on a boat then? Why? If you're worried about pirates, just go and live on land.
We had a friend we met up with during Comic-Con who stayed on an Airbnb boat because he was like working for Crunchyroll or something, and it was cheaper for his company to stay on the boat because all the hotels were booked out. Except the owners were also staying on the boat with them.
Nice.
But we went over and had some drinks and then we're hanging out. And the owners are super cool, really nice. And we're like, oh, so do you ever take the boat out? He's like, oh, hell no. It's like $50,000 for gas. Like, and it wasn't a big boat. It was a decent sized boat. And it's like, anytime you see those giant things that like a Saudi prince or Dr. Dre owns, it's like that thing is $1 million for like, you know, a nice weekend out in the ocean. But whatever, they're billionaires, so who cares?
It also blows my mind every time I'm at like a hotel or location that has some type of suite that's an extravagant amount of money per night. Like you think of some of those Vegas suites that are $20,000 a night or something like that, depending on where you're staying. And I just think like, who is the person that is spending this kind of money on a one night stay or even a short period of staying? Like I could buy a car with one night stay at this hotel. Yeah. That's insane.
I think they use it a lot of times for comps. Like they don't intend anybody to actually pay for it. They use it to have it to like comp nights to high rollers and stuff like that. A lot of like presidential suites at hotels are like that. Like if you are booking a conference at the hotel, then you get a suite or two, you know, for free as well in case you want to do anything up there, like hospitality related. So it's, I mean,
gotcha.
I'm sure it's like they'll take the money if someone wants to book it, but they use it for other purposes lots of times. You remember like when we used to the plan RTX, like when we do hotel blocks, like sometimes it'd be like, if you book enough rooms, then you get like this many suites as well that you can use for whatever purposes.
I used to also think about that for like when I didn't fly a lot and I would get onto a plane and think about like these first class seats that people were sitting in, thinking like, oh my God, like why would people spend like $1,000 on a seat on a flight that's like an hour or 2 hours long, whatever it is. And then I realized after actually getting with an airline and banking up miles with that airline that most of those seats are just rewarded to people for
people aren't paying for that.
Right.
Yeah,
which,
I feel like it's usually
some people
like,
are, but not
it's
a
like
lot.
upgrades with miles, or it's a company is flying you somewhere and that person has demanded business class. That's usually, I feel like it's usually the kind of people, it's like people who don't want to be going where they're going and people who just have a ton of miles.
I want to point out real fast, going back a couple of topics, the prototype of that boom plane actually looks super cool.
Oh, did you put it in the...
Yeah.
It doesn't have the Concorde, the weird nose thing.
The droop snoot.
Yeah, which I only remember from the 90s remake of the hit film Sabrina starring Harrison Ford, where he needs to get to like Paris real quick to meet up with her. So he takes the Concorde and then they shut that fucking plane down because no one used it. Anyway, that's your Concorde trivia for today.
The prototype looks almost like a little fighter plane.
It does, yeah.
So I guess that makes sense
like
why
a toy.
it's like a third.
I mean,
size.
that's also just a rendering, right? Like it might. Yeah. That thing looks like it's going to space to go shoot something down. It looks cool, but
yeah, that is
too cool.
That is a long snoot.
Snoot.
It might droop.
So we talk about it in Black Box Down, I think episode 3. The reason that they needed that droop snoot is the Concorde didn't have flaps like most planes do because of the delta wing on it. So when they were coming in to land, they had to have such a severe angle of attack that the pilots were looking at the sky and they couldn't see the runway. So that's why the nose tips down when they're landing. That way the pilots can actually see the runway and see where they're going.
Gotcha.
Why not just stick a camera on the front?
Because the Concorde was developed and built in like the late 60s and they didn't have that back then.
They could like break the sound barrier, but we can't have a live feed of what's like 2 feet in front of us.
Listen, man, that plane was old. It's really shocking when that plane was developed.
The technology in your microphone is more advanced than what they use to land on the moon, basically, because they mostly had mostly paper. They're in a tin can. They shot up in space and said, "Good luck."
Yeah, I guess even like back then, what was video, even analog video? What was that even? What state was that in at that point? Probably like there's no use having a film camera on the front of your Concorde.
Right. Yeah, I mean, security footage. You could do like a CCTV, but yeah, I mean, they probably just figured that could break because cameras are too big. So just make it look stupid.
It just seems like the funniest engineering. If it seems like the funniest way to overcome that problem was to be like, what if the whole thing just goes boop? And then someone's like, hell yeah.
They're like high-fiving. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. This episode of the Receipt Podcast is brought to you by Hims. What's not my idea of a good time? Going to the doctor for, well, just about anything, but especially for problems you don't want to talk about, especially when it turns into multiple doctor's visits, just a pain. Men everywhere, listen up. 40% of us by age 40 will struggle to maintain an erection, but that doesn't mean we need to turn to weird back alley solutions or those weird gas station pills. You can turn to tested medicine and science. The solution, 4hims.com, the one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness for men. Thanks to science, ED can now be optional. Hims connects you with real licensed doctors and FDA-approved pharmacists products to treat ED. Well-known generic equivalents to name brand prescriptions to help you combat ED. Prescription solutions are backed by science and made more affordable. See results where other treatments fall short. Stop worrying about multiple in-office doctor visits. No painful injections like other treatments. It really can't get easier. All you need to do is answer some questions about your medical history and chat with the doctor for a confidential review. If approved by the doctor, products are shipped directly to your door, being your best and performing your best. It's erectile without the dysfunction. Try Hims today by starting out with a free online visit. Go to 4hims.com/rooster5. That's forhims.com/rooster5. 4hims.com/rooster5. Prescription products are subject to medical provider approval and require an online consultation with a medical provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. You can see the website for full details and safety information. This could cost hundreds if you went in person to a doctor's office or pharmacy. Remember, that's 4hims.com/rooster5.
Speaking of like air or space travel and stuff like that, I know we talked about Space Force. I think that's what it was called with Steve Carell.
The Netflix show? Yeah.
The Netflix show. We've talked about that, but have we ever talked about Avenue 5? And have any of you seen it?
I started watching it. I think I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, and I couldn't get into it. I stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked it a lot better than Space Force.
I think Elise has... Oh, Avenue... Oh, that one. The... Sorry, I was probably thinking of like Avenue Q or something.
Is that the Hugh Laurie one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Nucci, right? The guy from Veep and Thick of It.
Yes. And a bunch of English shit.
Yes.
I enjoy his English shit. Oh, Death of Stalin too. Yeah. He does great stuff. I couldn't really get into it. I didn't finish it. Feel bad. I wanted to.
It started off like as a strong premise. Like I thought it was really promising. I enjoyed it somewhat. It's definitely better than Space Force in my opinion, but I feel like that show had so much potential that they didn't really follow through on. But I would recommend it. I think it's a fun little show. It definitely ends in a weird way, which makes me wonder if there's going to be a season 2 or not. But yeah, it's definitely a slow burn.
Okay. Yeah, we're watching Search Party right now, and that's
that?
a mile a minute. I can't stop. I don't binge shows, but it's one of the first shows in a long time where you watch 2 episodes in a row because we're like, we just have to keep watching this.
I almost started watching that yesterday, and I think I watched Grave of the Fireflies instead. I'll have to look it up.
No, Search Party's great. It's a 22-minute show. It's Michael Showalter, I think, is the showrunner from
it's
the
on
state.
HBO Max.
And yeah, that's
nice.
Partly why we're watching it because we're like, hey, what's on this hot new streaming platform? That's
everyone's talking about.
It doesn't.
I can tell you what's not on
there. Yeah, but Search Party is freaking fantastic. After 2 different close friends of mine told me to watch it, finally we're watching, and I'm afraid we're going through it too quickly. So, yeah, that's my recommendation. That I throw to you, Gavin.
Thanks, Adam.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, I didn't know who was going to cut to.
I saw that.
Just always cut to Gavin.
They finally announced the release date for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. So today's like a red letter day for me.
Nice.
It comes out
guys.
August 18th. Perfect timing because I just ordered a new replacement gaming computer over the weekend, and so like.
Oh, you went pre-built?
Yeah, I thought about building it myself, but I
decided
decided to go with the pre-built. Okay, so it's kind of dumb. Ever since I was a teenager, like in the mid to late 90s. I always wanted a Falcon Northwest computer, but they're so expensive.
I've never even heard of that.
And it's like all they do is like they do pre-built like high-end gaming systems. And I was like, my current computer's 5 years old. It's like it's getting a little it's still okay, but like some newer stuff it has trouble running. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm a successful adult. I can finally buy myself the thing that I've wanted.
Oh, slow down with these buzzwords.
For like 25 years. Like I can finally fulfill the thing that I used to drool over in like computer magazines. So it's like I went ahead and ordered myself one.
Computer magazines.
Good for you. Good for you.
I'm so happy about it.
No, that's good.
Other
It makes
people
you
are
happy.
reading Playboys and Sports Illustrated. Gus is just sitting there with his computer magazine.
I'll never
processes.
I'll never knock you for your kinks. That's fine.
Knock before you come in, Mom.
I was looking up liquid cooling options because I think they look so cool, but that is a rabbit hole I don't think I can go down for my next computer. Just because when we started quarantine, the very first thing we did was record a gameplay of Half-Life Alyx, and it basically broke my computer.
Oh no!
Because it just couldn't handle it. It was like a 5-year-old PC, and it just melted it. And so I'm using a work computer now, which is more up to date. It's like maybe a year, 2 years old, and it's like, but I'm like, after this whole thing's over, I need to build a new one. And just watching liquid cooled videos, like it looks so cool, but it's they just fill it with cum, like it's just all this cum that goes through the system, and I'm like, you bump that computer and it looks like a teenager got inside there. It just blows. And I'm just like, I don't know if I could handle that. Like,
yeah, I feel like that'd be a really fun project. Like I've watched a lot of videos about people doing like all the hard tubing stuff where you have to like pre-bend it and hopefully it all aligns with all your shit. It looks so
they have like a hair dryer and
yeah.
Oh my God.
I watch a lot of Jay's 2 Cents videos, and I've talked about it before. I don't know why I watch him, because I don't do anything like that. I don't ever have the need to learn about it, but it's just so fascinating, and I really like watching people mess up.
Man, well, when does your new PC arrive, Gus?
I think the build time on it's like 2 weeks. I'll have it by the end of this month.
What graphics card do you get?
RTX 2080. I didn't get the Ti. I got the normal.
Whoa, we're gonna be so old by then.
Good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be a pretty big bump up, and of course they're releasing 3 different versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator, like fucking assholes. And it's like you only get certain planes in the base edition. Then if you buy like the deluxe edition, you get more planes. But then if you buy the premium edition, you get more planes. And also airports, like some airports.
Can't you just get planes on a microtransactional basis?
You might be able to. I don't know. But it's just annoying because I think that they put probably, in my opinion, the plane I would want to fly most in like the premium ultra expensive editions. Like, of course they put that plane in the super expensive version.
So get it. It's worth it.
I don't know. We'll see.
You're a successful...
Treat yourself.
He's like, not that successful. Hold on.
We'll see how much, if they do microtransactions, how much the microtransaction plane is by itself.
Are you going to upgrade any of your plane flying hardware?
I don't know. I'm pretty happy with my current setup.
What's your flight stick situation? What are you rocking?
I forget what I bought. It's a Cytec. It's the one in Elite Dangerous. So it's like it's a Cytec that looks like the control stick in Elite Dangerous, and it also has the throttle. So when I would play Elite Dangerous in VR, it was like you were looking at the actual stick and the throttle. But I forget. It's some Cytec. I forget which one it is.
It's a goddamn pandemic. You need to treat yourself. You get all the planes and all the airports that you want. Okay.
You should get one of those.
Fly away, pony boy.
Yeah.
I should. Did we lose Gavin?
They have those?
We might have.
I feel like that's like an arcade type setup. I think a lot of those, like you have to have input from the game, right? Like it has to have like two-way communication in order to communicate with the chair and the chair to communicate back to the game. So I don't know if those things always exist.
Have they released the haptic suits yet that they had in Ready Player One?
I don't think so.
You just vibrate your whole body, but everyone pays for the extra crotch alignment. Weirdos.
How many? What's happening?
I was just waiting until my shit was catching up. Stop.
No, I went through the same thing, man.
Bitch!
No, it's good now. You're good.
If you yell, it works.
Oh.
The internet caught up.
Son of an ass.
People are saying it's the X52 in chat, the HODOS, the joystick.
I was going to make a joke that you should get the mechanical chair that mimics a droop snoot. But then my internet shat on itself.
Yeah. The Discord kills any sort of punchlines, I've noticed.
Even if you just miss like the middle of a syllable, it makes you second guess what the sentence was.
We're all going to be really funny after this in person because
we're going to be so quick.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's going to be lightning fast conversations. Oh,
I
it's
know.
going to be weird. Don't have to
Well,
wait for
I
that
don't know
weird
about you
delay.
guys. This brings up my Gus getting that game and spoiling yourself, which I think you should. But I haven't been like spending any money on stuff since quarantine started, other than food and more food. And I feel like I've done stuff like dressed up my office to make it look a little nice. I ordered stuff on Amazon and got some like new pillows and whatnot, but that's all I've really been spending money on. And so I feel like I'm doing a good job saving. At least that's like one benefit.
Yeah, I'm saving,
quarantine?
but I ain't making right now.
You have a salary.
As in, like, I can't fly Dan over and make
Oh,
those
Slow-mo
videos.
guy stuff.
Yeah.
Those who shall not be named.
I'm just stocking up because when society collapses, I'll be the first to go. I offer nothing. They all like, I got some meat in the ass. You can have that. Please don't take my stuff. I love my children. I don't have any.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the same boat as you, Barbara. Like, I've been really spending money on, it's like I get groceries and I eat at home. Maybe once a week I'll get food from a restaurant. Like, I'll get like takeout or something, but really that's it. So
we definitely have been ordering out a lot more than I think we anticipated. We probably order in like 4 times a week, give or take. But we try to order locally just to help those local restaurants, but again, can't stop that McDonald's from happening. Baby, sometimes it just happens. That's what we did for my birthday. We ordered McDonald's and watched Thor Ragnarok, and Trevor made me a comfy little fort to rest myself in, and he put a weighted blanket on me and fed me McDonald's while I watched the movie. It was the best 31st birthday of all time.
Or Ragnarok.
Like, happy 15th birthday.
Or Ragnarok is such a great movie. I remember watching that in the theater, and like when it was done, I was like, I wish that movie had existed when I was like a teenage boy. Like that would have been like the greatest movie I'd ever seen. Like I still loved it, but it's like that movie is so fucking good.
It's great. I hadn't seen it since it was out in theaters, and so I was like, you know what? I feel like watching a Marvel movie, and Thor Ragnarok was incredible, and I hadn't seen it since. So
it's got a banging soundtrack too. It's all like,
it's amazing,
and it's all colorful and shit, and you're like, smack him in the face.
We've come so far from, man, those Hulk movies were not great, to more Hulk, please.
Yeah.
Like, Hulk made this movie amazing. Like, give him his own movie. Oh, wait, they can't. There's a weird licensing agreement with Universal. Oh, well. I enjoyed the buddy comedy.
Don't worry. Disney will buy Universal relatively soon, too.
Disney dinosaurs. Can't wait. Just add that to the park.
Anybody who owns Universal, are they part of Comcast?
Comcast, yeah,
Yes.
NBC Universal.
Yeah.
I think it's owned by like a tampon company at this point. So many. It goes deep. The octopus arms are far and reaching. There's like 4 companies in this world that own basically everything we watch and consume.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. Go Samsung.
Samsung.
Have you guys gained weight or lost weight in quarantine?
I mean, what's the point in having a scale?
I've gained emotional weight, lost physical weight.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know about my physical weight, but I feel like my mental ability to detect time correctly is getting all messed up. Like, time is moving slowly, but also fast. Like, it's
so fast.
Monday again. It was just Monday, and now it's like another one. And it was like, where's all the in between shit? But somehow
every day's the same.
Like, still 2020. Don't know what's happening.
Do you realize that we're coming up on 5 months in quarantine? In August, like mid-August, it'll be half a year that we've spent in quarantine. That's insane.
In September.
Wouldn't it be August?
No, because we started in March. So 6 months later would be September. 3 plus 6 is 9? Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Well, September, it'll be half a year.
Yeah, we're getting shockingly close. Like when this all started, like Gavin, when we did the last podcast in studio on March 23rd, Gavin and I stood outside of Stage 5 for just a second. And, Gavin took a photo of Stage 5 and I think I made a comment like, I don't know when we'll be back. In my mind, worst case scenario, this is the time we were going to be going back. Like right about now is when we were going to be going back into the studio.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find that pitch. Oh, Jesus Christ. I guess I left the weather open. It is freaking hot. That's in Celsius if you're confused. That's hot as shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would be dying without air conditioning right now.
That is 104.
I had to let my dogs out a little earlier, and it was like the sun hurt on my skin.
Perfect time for swimming.
It's nice over here on the West Coast. It's getting hotter. We went paddleboarding over the weekend. It's a socially distanced activity you can do. I mean, you're in the water and there's no one there, except we saw a bunch of people doing yoga on paddleboards. That's new to me.
That seems cool.
It's like that's hard mode.
Yeah, well, because I think what happens is they're all attached and then someone anchors them and they all stay. But like now downward dog, and you see a bunch of people like just shaking in their I was like, do you need more like hindrances in the way of yoga? Was it too easy for you? Is that what it was? You need to be out in the middle of a marina, you psychopath, in Lululemon. But they're having a good time.
Oh, there it is.
Is that your last picture you took?
Yeah, that was the last day I was at work.
Oh.
And it's sad.
Oh, it'll open one day and we'll be wearing these cool hazmat suits.
No,
such an interesting time.
By the time we go back, the spiders will have taken over stage 5. We'll have to spend a week waging war against the sentient spiders.
No one's flushing our toilets. Is someone flushing the toilets?
No one's.
What does that
mean? The spiders are taking care of it. Don't worry.
Oh, they can take care of it.
Yeah.
Oh, your toilets break if they don't get flushed? Is that a problem?
Yeah, the seal inside, the wax seal at the bottom of the toilet dries out, and it lets sewer gas out into your bathroom if you don't flush it regularly.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, our building's probably on fire. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's like a weird thing. It's like a weird thing where if a building is unoccupied. For basically the rule of thumb is for every year a building's unoccupied, it's like 10 years of age on that building because like the regular maintenance and the regular use isn't being done. So it's like you just have all kinds of shit that's going to break and go wrong because people aren't there looking at it and people aren't there using it.
Wow. Well, I need to go flush some toilets. I'll be right back.
Don't worry, we'll all smell it as soon as we get back.
Is it like extra flammable, do you think?
I don't know if it's extra flammable necessarily. It's extra stinky, I'm sure.
How much for you to walk into one of the closed off toilets and just flick a match in there?
No. I'm not going to take that risk. I'm not confident enough in how not flammable it is.
I was trying to think of the most inconsequential, like $1 million but for a super cheap amount of money for something really pointless. And I was trying to come up with like the opposite version of that show. Like, for example, for $10, would you take the fact that, okay, you get $10, but you can't see the moon?
Ever? For the rest of my life?
Everyone else can see it. You just can never see it again. And it's like,
just for $10?
That doesn't change your life in any way, except I guess you can't have conversations with people about the moon or you have to like fake your way through them. But it's such a small amount of money to the point where it's like, do you want to see the moon for $10? Like, how much would you take to not see the moon ever again?
Yeah, like $10, but you can't have iceberg lettuce anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like
yeah, it's like so I didn't notice it was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In chat over here, Eric is writing hot grapes. I think he means like, would you take $10 if for the rest of your life the only way you could eat grapes is if they were hot?
I don't think people like hot grapes.
Is that a new shirt, or are we having a conversation?
I don't think people like hot grapes.
It's not enough room.
So what would be your price on the moon, Barbara? To just an amount of money worth taking because it's a lot of money, but the inconvenience.
To never see it again?
Yeah.
I feel like it would have to be somewhat like worthwhile because like I like seeing the moon and I am not struggling for $10.
Well, that's also a survival thing. Like what if all the electricity goes out and you can't see the moon?
Do I also not see the light that the moon gives
Yeah.
off?
Could you be illuminated by the moon still? Even if you
Yeah,
can't
I
see
feel
it?
like you still get all the benefits of the moon. You can
Okay,
the light
okay.
is shining off the moon. You get the gravitational pull of the moon. You just can't see it.
Could I
Gotcha.
still sing Leanne Rhymes' Can't Fight the Moonlight in karaoke?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
are
can
you
even
banned
buy
from
a
the word
picture.
moon?
I
You
could
can
buy
even buy a
of the
picture
moon.
of the moon and stick it to a window if you really
Oh,
want to
well-
see the moon.
This won't screw up anything too much, but I have a little thing that I want to hang up, which has all the faces of the moon.
But that should just be a blank white wall, like white parchment.
Yeah. Oh man. Sorry, I'm trying to get back in my frame.
I think I would take like $800 to never see
Oh,
the
I
moon
was
again.
gonna say like
What about like when
250?
people
Okay.
when people like freak out about like the supermoon or like really extraordinary things, and you're like, oh, I guess I can't see that.
You got to play along.
Actually, you know what? Like, I don't know. It would have to be a good amount of money because. Sorry, I'm out of focus.
You're a little blurry.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know how to fix that on my camera without moving around a lot. But like that's an experience in life that yes, you kind of take it for granted, but if it got taken away from you, I think it would have a bigger impact on your I don't know, way of life than you really realize. It's just like an experience that you have as a human with eyes and your ability to see.
Yeah, but I feel like I'd give up the moon before I give up cold grapes.
Okay, fast forward 55 years in the future, your grandkids who are rich and successful got you on one of those flights around the moon, but you see nothing while you're going around it.
But I can't
But
bring
you have
myself to tell them, so I'm like,
Yeah, but-
wow, check out.
But you check that $800 in your pocket and it makes you real happy.
Yeah.
You like try to take pictures of it to show them, but it's like
Yeah.
you don't realize that the lens cap was on. There was no. There was. You're trying to show them like, look at these great pictures of the moon. They're like, Grandpa, that's just a black photo. There's nothing on there.
Someone
Oh my
in
God,
chat
yeah.
said, "What? $800? I can't tell if they think that's too low or too much.
I know, me neither.
I don't know."
Yeah, I actually, your $800 threw me off because I'm not sure if that's like, are you just asking us for money? Are you okay? Like, I could wire you something. If you
Well, I
need help.
can't film my videos. No, I feel like
No.
And I hate
I feel like-
moon.
Any big part of nature and the world in general and like the universe, I wouldn't want that to be taken away from me. So I don't know if I would accept money for that.
Oh, you're saying the moon is priceless? You would turn down
Okay, well-
Barbara, $1 million, but you can't see the moon.
Absolutely, I would take that. 100%.
The moon is
But for, like,
worthless, not priceless.
yeah, I don't know. I would definitely. There's absolutely an amount of money
Yeah.
I would take it for, but I think like lowballing it, I don't know if that would be worth it or not.
$1 million, yes. $800, no.
So
Yeah,
so
exactly.
what, like 50 grand? Oh, what about a membership at Club Bollocks? What's the name of the thing?
But
For
that's
how
only
long?
good for a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't afford those dues.
Yeah, that's per year, Gavin.
yeah. That's like when people win a car and they go, great. Yeah, or they,
Yeah, pay the
you won a
taxes.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
And now your life's fucked.
Okay,
Or
people
you
are
want-
saying
yeah.
800 is way too low. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Done.
It's
All right.
just a white circle in the sky, though.
I would do
That's
it for.
a gross oversimplification, but okay. Sometimes it's yellow and sometimes it's a crescent.
But it doesn't do anything for me.
It affects
well, we
the
got-
ocean. Oh, I guess you.
I
yeah,
still
not you.
get that, though.
It's fine. We got to wrap up here. I think
Okay.
we got a Funhouse coming up after us, right?
Yeah,
we
those
cannot, We
jerks.
cannot run
Oh, yeah.
long. Yeah, Funhouse Live coming up here at 6:30. So I want to say thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to First members for supporting us, and we'll be back again next week and see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.
Watch recorded by Aerosol. Bye.